Hello everyone, and welcome to the Component Creator webinar. Component Creator helps you create fully functional, ready-to-install custom Joomla components in no time. Component Creator takes all the tedious work out of Joomla development, giving you more time to focus on the stuff that really matters. Component Creator offers a scaffolding tool for Joomla developers that eliminates the repetitive work of creating the structure of a component. Now, my name is Ryan Bernstein. I am going to be your host and moderator today, and I work at CloudAccess.net. We are the official and exclusive host of the demo trial of Joomla at demo.joomla.org. You can launch free and unlimited trials of Joomla through our platform, and each demo trial is active for 30 days. You can upgrade to a paid hosting package at any time or download your Joomla site and take it with you wherever you go. Now, your presenter today is Søren Bech Jensen, the founder of Jensen Technologies. Søren, are you there?
I am, yes. I just needed to unmute my microphone. Yes, hello.
Yeah, hi. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Good afternoon to you there in Spain. It's still mid-morning here for us in northern Michigan. But Søren is originally from Denmark, and now he lives in Spain. And he's been in the internet industry since 1994. He's had a broad range of experiences as a developer in marketing, management, and in 2005 he moved to Spain and founded Jensen Technologies, which is now a well-established and successful web development company specializing in Joomla development. Now, besides offering web development services to clients, they do offer, of course, Component Creator and automaticbacklinks.com, a successful SEO tool with roughly 10,000 member sites. Now, I've heard nothing but great things about Jensen Technologies. I think they're a bunch of, well, internet geeks, basically. They're self-confessed internet geeks. And Søren, it sounds like you have a great team there.
Yeah, I think we do. Thank you, and I'll take that as a compliment. I think we are internet geeks, yeah.
Well, today Søren is going to teach you guys about, or he's going to let you know how to customize your views of your component from a single and easy-to-use interface. He's going to show you how to design fully functional forms and list views for your component. He'll also talk about the compatibility of the component with all versions of Joomla. And he'll talk about the fast and feature-rich Joomla scaffolding tools they have. And he'll probably talk about generated code and how the generated code from your component follows the Joomla MVC structure. And you'll learn basically, I think, about the non-commercial extension. But there are opportunities to upgrade as well. I do want each of our attendees right now to find that GoToMeeting slide out question area. You can post a question to Søren and I'm going to help moderate those questions at the end of the presentation. And you know, if it's a Cloud Access hosting, a Joomla hosting question, you can point those at me. Or if you have a question for Søren directly, we'll get him those questions at the end. Or if you just want to let us know where you're attending from throughout the world, that'd be great. We have over 315 people registered for today's webinar. And you can also reach out to me on Twitter at Cloud Access during the presentation. I will be following that stream if you want to post your questions there as well. I do want to remind you, too, that this webinar is being recorded, and you can find a recording of it later today on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/cloudaccess. So at this point, Søren, I'm going to go ahead and pass the presentation over to you, all right?
Yes. So I hope we made that transition relatively easy, and that everybody now can see my screen. So basically, as we've just been told, I'm going to take you through and show you how the Component Creator works, and how you can greatly speed up the development of Joomla development with our Component Creator. I'll skip quickly through this because if this was already gone through, but I'm the CEO of Jensen Technologies. I'm also the original and the lead developer of the Component Creator, although now we have a whole team of us building on it and maintaining it. We're based in sunny Spain, and as I say that, actually about half an hour ago, it started raining for the first time in 3 or 4 months. But this is the picture you're seeing now is how it usually looks here. We're in a little whitewashed village on the coast of the Mediterranean, a lovely place to work. But it's not always sunny, apparently. So Jensen Technologies is kind of like a parent company where we have not web design, or not just web design, which is the arm that makes websites for clients and customers. It's kind of it's the same team, and that team has then also made the component creator, and has also made automaticbacklinks.com, search engine optimization. Well, it's a link exchange network. What we're going to be talking about today is the component creator, obviously. So I'm going to just take you through a quick introduction to what the component creator is, and then we are actually going to go and demonstrate. We're going to go in and we're going to create a component in the component creator. We're going to build it. We're going to look at the code. We're going to install it. We're going to have some fun. And then at the end, there's questions and answers. We started making this scaffolding tool in 2009. I think back then it must have been Joomla 1.5. Yeah, we've been maintaining it ever since. It started really as an internal tool because we made websites for clients, and we found that we always have to make a custom component. And what took the longest time and what was the most boring was to copy and paste all the views and all the whole model view controller structure. And so we created this tool in order to not have to repeat all those things, and to not, sometimes when you do that, when you copy and paste these views, and you'll spend maybe 2 hours just finding one little bug because you've renamed something wrong, or at least in the beginning. As you get more advanced and experienced, those things are faster, but still you can spend a lot of time with annoying little bugs and a lot of time with copy and pasting. And so that's what we wanted to fix that issue. So after a while we realized this was really a pretty nice tool, and that the world in large could benefit from it, so we released it for free. And we had a huge uptake. There's lots of users started using it, and it was very popular. So we decided that, hey, maybe we could really throw some development effort after this and see if we could offer a paid version of it that could earn us a little pocket money while we were making it even better. So that happened in 2012, and we added a lot of big improvements back then. As it is now, it is used by more than 25,000 developers. I guess that might be a little bit of a lie. There's more than 25,000 developers who have registered and have a peek around in the component creator. Whether or not they all have used it, I don't know. But we know that almost 50,000 components have been built using the component creator, and we conservatively estimate that each component will at least save you 2 hours of work. I think, depending on the complexity of component, it can save you weeks of work, but at least 2 hours saved. And if we say that each component has saved 2 hours per developer, then we have saved Joomla developers more than 10 years of development time, and that's actually something we're quite proud of. You can use the component creator to either build 2.5 or 3.2 components. And when it's 2.5, I guess they're also compatible 1.6 and 1.7, although you should be upgrading to 2.5, as you probably know. But you can build for those versions and for 3.0, 3.1. But obviously, you have already upgraded, as you should. It follows 100% the MVC structure of Joomla. There's no extra libraries installed or anything. It creates a component just like you would have created it if you had written everything in an editor. And it creates a complete CRUD. That's create, read, update, and delete interface in both the admin and the front end. So it'll create the familiar interface you know from Joomla when you're using third-party components. You know you're going to have a list of things, and you can have a form of things, you can edit things, maybe you can publish, unpublish, that sort of thing, reorder it, and that sort of thing. And also on the front end, we create an interface that we estimate that most developers will need to customize to some extent. But at least it's there, the functionality is there to edit and update and do those things. Then it's also ACL compatible, something we're fairly proud of because that's very complicated to implement. But basically, it means you can assign rights to each which type of users is capable of updating and who can delete and those sorts of things. So basically that's it. Now we want to just go ahead and I don't know if we should just open up a little bit for questions at this time, because what we're going to do next is go in and actually build a component. And to do that, we've invented a fictional car rental company. We thought a little bit about what would make a good demonstration, and we think a car rental company is good because if you were to build a website for a car rental company, they would need to store and manage cars and customers and the actual rentals of those things. So it gives us a good way to demonstrate the different fields and functionality that the component creator makes. So I don't know if we should open up for questions now.
Yeah, there are a few questions that have appeared, several questions about if this will be recorded, and yes, it will be recorded later today, or it is being recorded now and will be available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CloudAccess. Daniel posted a question, says, first, thanks for this excellent component, and second question, is it compatible with the new Joomla 3.2?
Well, I've already answered that. Yes, it is compatible. Actually, there was nothing new from 3.1 to 3.2 in from our point of view. Components were not the structure of components were not changed in that version. So yes, it is.
Okay, Daweed has a question, and from South Africa. And he's asking, how does one create a component with categories almost like the content component of Joomla, so that one can link menu items to a page that displays information from that category only? So maybe that's a question more for the back-end demonstration.
It's a great question, and that's exactly what you can do with the component. In that case, you could kind of say that cars would be a category. And you'd be able to link to the cars view. But also, our component allows for you to use the native Joomla categories. Joomla is their category system is created in such a way that they actually encourage components to reuse their category system. And we're going to do this in this example, so you can see how that is used.
Okay, great, super. I think a couple of people are saying they're experiencing some audio issues, but your audio sounds great to me, Soren. So I think that might be exclusive to those users today. And somebody, Demetris, has asked if the code that you're going to be developing today will be available later on somewhere. It's interesting.
Yeah, I assume if you guys have the option of making that available, then we can put it up on CloudAccess servers, and that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Sure, yeah, we could do that. I think we have other questions pointed more towards the demonstration. So Sebastian says, hi, how would you enable the component's content to be searchable on the site's default search? And Jonathan wrote, is there a possible update in the future to add modules within the development?
Well, those two questions. First, currently it's not part of the default search. The items that you create are not part of Joomla's front-end search. So that's something that is a little bit difficult to achieve, and not something we've had a lot of feature requests about, because I think you tend to custom develop that feature if you want it to be, because typically this is not, you don't want it to show up. For instance, you don't want cars to show up in between content items. If you want to build a search, you should build a search for cars. So maybe you could search for models and colors and stuff like that. So search should be a little bit more modular when it comes to structured data as opposed to content. And the other question in regards to modules, then that is something that a lot of our users are asking for, and it is on a very high on our list of new features that we want to add to the component creator.
Okay. We've got other questions too. Let me know. Do you want those questions now, or would you like to?
Sure. If you feel that yeah, they are just as good as the questions we've had, then yeah, shoot.
Yeah. Are there one question from Carlos? Can we expect an upgrade, or what do they have to do to upgrade from 2.5 to 3.2? Any updates on your end?
Well, if you have already built a component using the component creator, and you want to upgrade that from 2.5 to 3.2, then it's a simple. You select a different version in the Joomla component creator, and then you click build, and then you just have it built as a 3.2 component instead. If you have an existing component that is not built by the component creator, then you can import it into. We have an SQL import functionality where you can take the SQL from your current component and import it into the component creator. And so you'll have all the fields and all the lists and all the views and everything ready. So all you have to do is just do the final little things. In fact, we're going to do that with a very famous component at the end of our presentation today. People probably know VirtualMart. It has not been upgraded to the 3.0 platform yet, and a lot of people are very unhappy about that. We're going to take it, we're going to import all their SQL, put it into the component creator, and build a 3.0 version of the VirtualMart. Obviously, there's going to be lots of features missing, but well, you'll see. It's pretty spectacular, and we're looking forward to showing you that.
All right, we've got questions here, and Carlos says thanks. We've got questions about pricing, and a question from Humphrey about an ebook, perhaps, if you have an ebook or documentation available. Perhaps those things.
There's a wiki on the side. I think maybe we should move ahead and show the actual building of a component, because I think a lot of questions will be answered during that, and I think also more questions will arrive. So when there's a natural space, I'll break again, and then we can do another question session.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's go out of this, and let's see if we can find the component creator. So I'll just say, to let me speak more freely, I have a colleague with me here who's actually going to be doing the typing and clicking for me, because we've done that before in a presentation, and it worked really well, because it leaves me for speaking a bit more freely. So this is the front page of the component creator. You can reach it by going to component-creator.com. I'm sure there's a link to it several places in the description of this webinar, and I hope several of you have had a sneak peek if you don't know it already or are not already members. A few things to notice here, if we scroll down to the bottom, is that we've recently had it translated into currently 6 different languages, well, to 5 different additional languages, and all of this is done by our members. All right, maybe not Spanish and Danish. That might have been done by us in-house, most of it. But German, French, and Dutch have been translated purely by volunteers. And we've written an article in the Joomla magazine about that translation project, because it was really a huge success, and we were overwhelmed by the support that we got from our users in helping us translate it. So anyway, if you speak one of these languages, you can change to a different language. If you don't, then you can help us translate it into another language. which you will see once you log in. So the first thing you do is register. We've already registered, so we're just going to skip ahead and log in. It's actually the same page as you can see. Victor is going to log in with his account. There we go. And as you can see, because I've said in my browser that I speak Danish, it comes up and asks me if I want to help translate the component creator into Danish. It's already translated into Danish, but that's why you see that, because my browser knows that I speak Danish. Anyway, so we're now logged in. We don't have any components. It's a total blank account, and we're going to simply go ahead and create our first component. You'll see you'll be presented with an interface, a form where you can type your component. If you have any questions, you can hover over the question mark on the right-hand side. We require, and Joomla requires, that components start with com_, so that's already filled in there for you. I think we're going to create a component called com_rentals. And it automatically fills in the name for the rentals. Then we're going to have a description, and this is the, as you can read in the right hand side there, this is the description that is shown to people as they install the component. And then you can set a version, an internal version. Oh, you can change the icon for your component. Use one of the custom Joomla ones, or you can upload your own. We're just going to choose let's choose something red. Yes, let's choose that. That's a perfect rental car company icon. Then you can set a version. The version is specifically for your component, so often it'll be version 0.01 or whatever you're going to start with. And you can set, here's where you set the target Joomla version. So this is, should the component creator build 2.5 files or 3. Whatever files. You can always go back and change this. Even after you've fully built your component as a 2.5, you can change it to 3.0 and build it as 3.0. Then you can select what language files. Let's add a few. Let's add English and Spanish or something like that. What language files should be generated by the component. We're not automatically translating your component for you, but we create the correct language files, and then it's up to you to get them translated. Then we can set some copyright messages, license information. All of this information that you're looking at now is what will be displayed in the comment section of every file that we generate. So you'll probably have seen that once you've been editing components and stuff like that. Then we're going to save the component. And then we're taken to com_rentals, and there's no tables in com_rentals. So now we have the kind of the basic structure of our rental component, but it doesn't have any structure really. And so what we need to do now is we have these 4 things that we thought needed to be created. 3 things really. We have cars, we have customers, and then we have the rentals that occur. So when customers come in and they want to rent a car, we have to register that and make sure that's all. So we have customers and cars and that perform rentals. And then we're also going to have models of cars. So different BMW and Mercedes, for instance, could be models. Which one should we create first? The first one we're actually going to create is the models, because we will need to be able to select the model when we create a car. We add a new table. This, if you're familiar with SQL, this is kind of the same thing you do if you're setting up or designing an SQL table. You give it a name. You tell it what storage engine you want to use. Probably just leave it as the default, but yeah. Then again, with the collation, that's kind of like what kind of language is stored in it. If you don't know anything about this, you probably shouldn't change it, and you should probably leave it at the UTF-8 general. Then you can add a list view for this in the administrator for the models. So this is so that you can see a list of the different models that you have stored in your database. We're definitely going to have that. We're also going to have a form view in the administrator, which is called model. In the front-end view, we should also have a front-end view. We want to have a list of all the different models that we have, and we want to be able to link to the detailed page of each model. And we're going to allow people who have access, administrators who are in the front end, to be able to edit the models as well from the front end. And then we're also going to add the ACL control to each individual item, so you have more granular control, and you can specify who can edit models. And we're going to create the table. And so now we have created a table called rental models, and automatically we've created 6 fields in this table. We have ID, we have ordering, state, checked out time, and created by. All of these fields are standard Joomla fields that are kind of expected. You don't have to take them out or have them, and you can actually delete them here if you don't want them in your component, but most of them are pretty neat. Ordering, if you want to order the models different than alphabetically or by how they were entered. Checked out is kind of to handle multiple users editing models at the same time. Same with the created by, and the state is published, unpublished, as you're probably familiar with in the admin. But we need to add something else. So in the bottom here, we're going to click Add Field. We're going to give our field a name. And we're going to call it brand. And the field type should just be a text field that we can text. We can just, if we can open that again, we can just run through some of the fields. We're going to see some examples, but just so you get an understanding of how many different types of fields you can create using Joomla and using Joomla Component Creator. The built-in Joomla fields that are kind of standard in Joomla are a text field, text area field, a checkbox, a list where you can select from a drop-down menu similar to the one we're looking at now. Radio buttons, editor, you can have an email field that is validated that is actually an email that's put in, the same with a password field, select an integer, calendar, you know, where you get the whole date selector, calendar pop-up, hidden fields, languages, select from the list of languages that are installed, a tag field, which is great, was new in I think 3.1 or 3.0. Tags, so you can tag different things. Media managers, you can upload files and stuff like that. File fields, you can upload a file. SQL field, so you can create more complex fields with your own SQL queries. Users, time zones, Joomla category, like somebody was asking about before. We're going to create one field like that, I think. We're not, but we are. And Joomla viewing access level, so the ACL we'll talk about. Then we have special, those are kind of our special fields. A foreign key where you can, you get a drop down, a select list of something that's in a different table. And this is actually what we're doing now. We're going to be setting up later so that when you're creating a car, you can select the model from the models list. Created by, time created, time updated, they kind of sell themselves. And then you can also choose just to create a raw SQL field. So here are all the typical SQL fields. It could be a Boolean, a date, time, a timestamp, or a float, or whatever you want to do, you can create. So for now, we're just going to create a standard text field in Joomla. We're not going to have any default brand, but we could give it a description. If I set something up as default, it would just be there when you could go to create a new model. It would have a default brand name. We can choose to make it read-only. We can make it disabled. We're not going to do any of that. We can give it a CSS class name for more direct styling. We could set the filter. We should probably set it as safe HTML. A filter is like, so you prevent what can be entered into the field. Size, max length, we're skipping over those things. They're pretty obvious. Now, we can choose whether or not this field should be shown on the form, which it should. And the label next to it, when you're editing one of these models, should be brand. And we can choose whether or not it should be required. I think in this case it should. And then you can choose whether or not the brand, this is the field brand that we're creating now, should be shown on the list when you're looking at a list of models. Yes, we want it on the list. And include field in text-based searches. Yeah, actually, when I'm looking at my huge list of models, I want to be able to search for Mercedes and find all the Mercedes ones. So yes, and now we're going to add the field. We're going to add one more field to the models, and we're going to call it engine type. That should be a select list. So we go into our field type and say list, select list. And then there's a little warning that comes up and says, in most cases you probably want to create a separate table for this and use a foreign key field instead. Which is true. It's good data discipline to create a list that can be edited later on. But for this case, we are kind of going to do a list because we know that our options, there's going to be different things. And now we're going to build up the values that we want in this select list. That could be petrol, engine. And so we have the stored value, which is the word petrol. And then we have what is actually displayed. And we're going to have diesel maybe, and we could add hybrid as well. And we're going to quickly just go through. Oh yeah, you have the option of you can select multiple of these values. In this case, it would not make much sense to be able to say that this car has both a petrol and a diesel engine, so we're not going to select that. We're going to show this on the form view, and we're going to make it required. But we're not really interested in seeing what kind of motor this has on the list view, so I'm not going to add it to the list view. So now I have my fields in the rentals model. It's the 6 first that was created that are standard Joomla, and then we've added brand and engine type. And as you can see here, there's a red X in the list view. And if I clicked on it, I could quickly toggle it. So actually, I do want it on the list view. I do want to see what engine type there is. So let's leave it like that for now. So now I can go back to my com rentals, my component com rentals, and I can see I have currently one table called rentals models with 8 fields on it. That is just that both have a list and a form. So now I'm going to create another table, and this time it's getting a bit more interesting. We're going to create the cars table. The cars table will have all the same default stuff. We have a cars view that is a list, and we have a form view which is car. And we definitely want front-end views for this again because we want people who are interested in renting our cars. We want them to be able to see them. And that's about it. So now we have a new table created, and it has 6 fields created in it, the 6 standard ones, and we're going to create some of our own. The first one, which is the interesting one, and where I think the penny drops for a lot of people, is now we're going to create a foreign key view called model. So when you're creating a car in the Joomla admin, you get to select from the models that you've already added to the model list. So we select the foreign key, and now it tells us where do you want this foreign key to be selected from, and we want it from the models table. And then it says, okay, which should be the ID should be the ID that is selected in our table, and the value should be the brand. So now I can select what brand of model I want this car to be. And you can check whether or not you want to allow the user, as he's adding a car, to select more than one model. In this case, it wouldn't make sense. Then we are going to say that we want to show this on the form, and that we are going to make it required that when you add a car, you have to select a model. And we also want to show it on the list view. So when you're looking at your list of cars, you can see which model it is. And here's the question, the next checkbox is, in the list of cars that you see in the admin, do you want to be able, when you search the text-based search, do you want to be able to search in the models as well? And yeah, I want to be able to say Mercedes, and then I get all my Mercedes cars. And I can even decide whether or not I want a filter for this field, so that when I'm looking at cars, I can filter and say, show me only Mercedes. So I want that for sure. That's super cool. Excuse me while I have a drink of water. Next we're going to add color. That's just going to be a JText field, so we're going to quickly skip through that. We're going to do it as quickly as we would normally do it, and you can see how quick you can set up. It's just to store the color of the car. Then we're going to have a new field called features, and this is one of these really nice new fields in Joomla. We're going to create a tag field. So this is where you can tag it with different features. It could be it has a sunroof, it has it's a sports car, it has a spare tire, whatever features that you might want to add about this car. So the tag mode is either Ajax or nested. We're going to choose Ajax, I think, yeah. And whether or not you allow the creation of tags from this or from this area where people are typing, or if they have to choose from pre-selected tags. We are going to allow custom tags, and yes, we should allow multiple tags. Again, we want to show that on the form view, and the label should be features. It shouldn't be required that it has features, and I don't think we should show it on the list view. So that is now, so now we've created our cars table and our models table. The next thing we probably want to do is the customers table. So now we want a place where we can store and manage our customers. So again, we go in, we say we want the table to be called customers. We want to add a list in the front end. We want to be able to see, actually maybe we wouldn't want to display our customers in the front end. Because we don't want to expose who our customers are to our competitors. So this only has an admin interface, the customers. We're going to have a very quick ID number. I'm not going to say much about that. And we're going to add a name, a field called name. Again, that's just going to be a normal text field that people can type in. Just a minute. And we're going to add a phone field, all of them just text fields. So this is just basically storing some stuff for this customer. Now we're going to tie together these two tables. Actually, could we come up with, because somebody asked for the custom, what's it called, the Joomla category field. We could categorize our customers. So we're going to, maybe we could say we have foreign customers and national customers or something like that. So we are going to add a new field called customer category, and the type of field should be a Joomla category, yes. and we want to show it on the form. No, let's not make it required. Let's not show it on the list. That's fine. And now we're going to tie them together. We're going to tie our customers together with our cars with a fourth table called rentals. And yeah, we're going to add a list view in the front end. No, we don't want to expose our rentals. No, we're not going to add anything in the front end. We're just going to create our table. Again, our table is created with the 6 standard fields, and we're going to create a field. So whenever we have a rental, we want to store the customer, and that we're going to store one of the customers that we have created in our customer tables. So we're going to select with the foreign key the customer table. And you saw that before when we tied together the models with the cars. Now we're tying together the customers with the cars. And yeah, we're going to do it like this, customers. And we're going to add the car as well, because whenever we have a rental, we have a certain customer renting a certain car. Foreign key, select cars, and select the yeah, maybe each car should have had a license plate ID or something like that. Okay, well, let's back out. Let's go and create a license plate ID from the rental car. There we go. And we're going to order that actually because we forgot to add it. We're going to move it up by dragging it here. So now it's that's where it's going to appear on the form and everything else. Now we're going back to our rentals table where we're going to add cars, selecting a car when you're creating a rental. I know this can be a little bit long and a little bit confusing and maybe a little bit fast as well. But it's we have to try and do it a little bit fast, because once we get to the building and installation on a Joomla, you'll understand it all better, and you'll see how powerful it is. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to record which employee actually made this rental, and we're going to do that with the JUser field. So that's a select list of which user in the Joomla system made this rental. I guess it's so you can pay out commissions to your employees. And we're going to have 2 more fields. There's going to be a start date and an end date for when the rental is. And they're going to be of the calendar, Joomla calendar type date selector. And they should be on the form view, and they should be required. And then we're just creating the end date, another calendar field. There we go. So now, if you're still with us and you're not fallen asleep, the next thing that we're going to do, I think, is to click on the big, lovely green build button. And when we do that, we just built a Joomla component with 4 tables ready to install. Now, to see if we have a place to install it, I hope I have something here. Let me just see. Appears my I probably don't have a database. Maybe we could just take a few questions while we sort out this technical issue.
Sure, we can. Let's see here. Marius has posted a question from Cape Town. Is it possible to link different components to each other? So is it compatible with other components? What you're creating right now?
Could you say that again? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is about compatibility with other components. So if you were to build something additional for VirtueMart, perhaps.
Well, I mean, it's compatible with the Joomla philosophy or the Joomla way of developing, but there's no kind of direct interaction with other components. That's not how components work in Joomla. I'm not totally sure I understand the question fully, but yeah, I mean that's I think the best way to
Okay.
answer that.
Okay. Yep. Let us know if we can help you anymore. Let's see. Nancy had a question about default. She writes, I set the default type to timestamp and was wondering if current underscore timestamp could be set as default.
That is a good question. If there is actually a field called time created already, that's a Joomla field, and in that will automatically be stored the default, but will be stored that time. And actually, it is one of the core fields that we create. But no, really to answer the question directly, whatever we put in is a text string. So so whatever you type in there will be quoted in the MySQL create.
Okay. An interesting question here from David, which is not really a question, but an offer. And apparently, David has created a search plugin for a component built off of Component Creator. And so I want to encourage you, David, to contact Soren independently. I know they're really, really active on Twitter, and you can reach them on Twitter at, give me just one moment here, Joomla C Creator. You can reach them, or I'm sure Soren's going to show you how to get in touch with them later today if you're interested in following up. Soren, I'm just going to keep up with the question. You want me to keep up with the questions?
Yes, please. Yeah, we're in the process of installing Joomla 3.2. So
I see. I see. Question from Rogelio. If I want to add jQuery and make some drag and drop tools for it, where do I put the code? Or maybe perhaps custom PHP, he followed up.
Yeah. Well, you put it where you would normally put it if you had coded it by hand. So I don't know whether or not your question is for the front end or the admin, but I'm going to assume it's for the front end. So there you would have a template which would have the jQuery in it, hopefully, or if not, you put it in the template. If you're talking about the admin, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, now in Joomla you have jQuery in the admin, and you could just the tool is not meant to build 100% complete components. It's meant to save you a lot of time instead of having to build it by hand. So it is very much a developer's tool and not a non-developer's way of making components. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's meant to help developers rapidly build all the boring stuff and all the repetitive stuff that you get to have to do every time you make a new component.
Okay. And now a couple questions too, and it sounds like we have a lot of new people wanting to new people to development wanting to check out Joomla Component Creator. But John wrote, how can we connect our customers with Joomla users? And then Leah posted a question about how do you get the component to the JED, so the Joomla extensions directory? So what's that process like once they're done completing?
Well, yeah. Once you have finished your Joomla component, and again, I just want to stress that doing what you've just done here should only be, let's say, 90% of the work. You would need to go in and edit the files to really get the last. I mean, you can create a fully functional, as we'll show you, Joomla component using this, but then your idea is probably not that unique. Typically, you'd need to put your spin on it as well before you have something that you can release. And then once you release this, all you really have to do is zip it all back up again the same way we've done. And then you create an account on the JAD and you submit it there with a description, and you upload the zip file that we've just created.
There you go. Hopefully that helps to answer the question, guys. Julia posted a question. Reference to foreign key confuses me. Why foreign? What is it?
Well, it's a standard, really, terminology in database language. It just means that you store in one table, you store a reference to something in another table. So in my cars table, I store, instead of writing in my cars table directly, instead of writing Mercedes inside my cars table, I store a reference to my models table, which then has the word Mercedes in it, so that if I ever want to rename it to Mercedes-Benz, then I just have to rename it once in the models table, and it'll change in all of the cars. And that kind of way of linking tables together is used using a foreign key, and that's because you put a key, the ID of the Mercedes-Benz, in the models table, you put that in your cars table.
All right. Okay. Now we have, remember, over 300 people registered for today's webinar. Lots and lots of questions showing up. Are you ready? Are you ready?
We are ready. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
We'll carry on now. We've quickly installed Joomla 3.2, and we're now going to upload our. It's already sorted by date. You just have to wait because there's a billion things in there. We have it right here. So we're now going to take our com rentals 1.00 that we've just created, and we're going to upload and install it. And you are going to see, the highlight here is the message that we create, the description of the component, the message that is shown to whoever's installing it. And that's it. It says the component was successful. So now up in the components menu, we should be able to see our rentals component. And when we hover over that, or click on it, you can see the different things. And we have models, we have cars, we have customers, we have the categories, the little on the spur thing that we created, and we have rentals. So we're going to start filling in some stuff now, so you can see the functionality. But first, we're going to create a model. Mercedes, and we created the engine types, if you remember, petrol engine, diesel engine, hybrid engine. So we're going to create an engine type here, petrol engine, and then below we have the ACL configuration, which you can skip. So now in our models list, we now have one item, which is a petrol Mercedes. We're going to add another model, so you can see several things. Could be a Honda or something like that. Let's make it a diesel engine, yeah? And save. And so now we have, as you can see, created by a super user, we have a Honda, a Mercedes, a diesel, petrol. Because we automatically created the ordering, if I order it by ordering, I can now reorder this list. And that's all part of the standard stuff that we build. I could also search. If I go up and I can search for Honda, and I'll only get the Honda. So as you can see, you get full functionality of your whole component here. Let's move over to customers and create a customer. Or should we create a car? I don't know what we should create. Oh, we have to create a customer category. Yes, we created the... so this actually what I want people to just understand now is, I don't know if you can see it on the screencast, but what we're actually inside now is core Joomla. This is not Joomla Component Creator. It's COM categories. It has a little bit appended to it, as what we were talking about earlier. Joomla encourages you to use its category manager for categories. So we're going to add a customer category. We could call them big spenders. So these are spenders. Let's see. These are the people who have the big bucks to rent the really expensive cars. We can give it a description and all the other things that you could normally do with a Joomla category. Let's create another one just so we have a few to select from. These could be poor, people who don't have a lot of money. Or maybe we should call them budget. But anyway. So we have now two types of categories, or customers. So now we can create some customers. We have the ID number that we created. We can type anything here. We have a name. You'll notice out on the left-hand side here that there's a little star next to ID number, name, and phone. That's because when we set it up, we said that we wanted those fields to be required. And the phone number we're going to add as well. And you can now see our customer category with big spenders and poor is available here. We're going to select one of those and save and close. We're just going to create one customer for now to speed things up. And we're going to go over to cars instead. So now we're ready to create a car which will have a model. So we have the license plate ID. And we have, now we can select which model, Mercedes or Honda, that we created before. We can type the color. And we can add from the tags field, we can add some different features. Sports, it could be sunroof, etc. So this is where you'd add those. So we now have one car. Let's add another one real quick. You could have a spare tire or have a GPS system. There we go. So now we have two cars, we have two models, and we have two customers categories and one customer. We can see out here as well while we're looking at the cars, we can filter, we can select model, and I can see only in this list, I mean obviously we only have two in the list, but if you have hundreds in this list, you could use the filter to quickly select. And then this is standard Joomla stuff, but stuff that takes a long time as a developer to make work. And sometimes when you're lazy, you skip it because, or the same with the search and stuff like that. It takes a long time to get to work like this. But using the component creator, it's readily available, and it just builds it for you. So yeah, you could you could filter by status or by the model. So let's create just the last. We're going to create a rental. We've had somebody walk in. And wants to rent a car. Let's say that the customer is John, and he's renting this car with that license plate. And it's the employee super user who's renting it, and it has a start date and end date from when they're renting it. And that's pretty much it. This was it for the admin. We also have created a whole front end interface where we can do pretty much more or less the same things that we've just done. In order to see that, we just need to link to it. So we're just creating a link in the main menu now to the rentals. You can see here we have the rentals. what you want to show. Do you want car form, cars, model form, models? These are all the things that we said that we wanted a front-end view for. And I think that's about it. Save and close that. And if we go to the front end, this is just a standard Joomla 3.2. We now have a cars thing, and we can see the different cars. And there's a little notice there, but don't take that too important. So we can see these cars here now. I think if we log in, are we logged in the front end as the admin? I don't think so. If we log in, we even get the option of edit and deleting. Let's try and edit one and see what happens. So here you get a front-end form, more or less like you just saw in the admin, which users who are allowed to edit. We currently log in with a super user, so we can do anything. But users who you give access can then start editing these items that you create, and deleting and changing the state and stuff like that. I think that, yeah, you can see up here now next to the cars there's unpublished and published. So now we've just unpublished the car, and if we go back in here and see it in the admin, you can now see that it's been unpublished. If we go back to the component creator website, I just wanted to show a little bit about pricing. We actually give it away. We give it away for free. The only thing that you need to pay for is if you want to make multiple tables. So if you want to do this whole foreign key thing that we said, but if you just want to create, here is a list of cars that somebody can edit, front end and back end, then you can do that completely free with the component creator. If you want to have more than one table in your component, then we ask a small fee. You can pay either per month or for 3 months or for 1 year's access, and it gets cheaper and cheaper the more you commit to it. And with that, you also get full customer support. And we pride ourselves with having really good customer support. And I think another thing I would like to just mention is our testimonials on the Joomla extension directory. We were in the top rated components in the Joomla extension directory until somebody out of 80 reviewers, out of 53 reviewers, somebody dared to give us a 4-star review. And so now we are not in the top anymore. But we are 4.98 out of 5. And if you read some of our reviews, you should get a pretty accurate idea of what it is it can do for you. People really love it, and it saves them a lot of time. And actually, what we hear from a lot of people is that it's a great tool for learning. So if you're into learning Joomla development, it's a great tool for quickly building something up and then looking at the code it wrote for you. Because sometimes it can be very frustrating when you're learning. You're trying to learn how to do something, and you spend so long time on that little comma or that little renaming of some variable or something like that. And this just creates it correctly for you, and then you can go, so that's how I'm meant to do it, and then build from it. It's a great way. Even if you just choose the free version, it can really save you a lot of time, and it can really teach you how to do proper Joomla coding. And that reminds me that we should probably take a little look in the code that was created. Let's just see here. So the zip file that we generated when we click build has a folder called administrator and one called site, and then it has the XML file that you're meant to build. The XML file, if I just open that real quick, will shows all the things that we put in, links to SQL files that run and install that creates all the tables, and it's even the images for for the icons that we set up, and everything else is as it's supposed to in the Joomla configuration XML file. If I take a look inside the administrator, there's assets, there's all the things that you'd expect to find in a properly developed Joomla component, and there's nothing else. We don't have a library that it runs on top of or anything else. This is exactly how you would code it if you coded it correctly by hand in an editor and then added it to a zip file. We can look at a controller. Let's see the cars controller. So in here we see the rentals controller cars, extends JController admin. It's properly commented code, indented, and everything else works the way you'd expect it to, and is created the way you've expected it. So, take a look at a model. Let's look at the rentals model. This is a list model. Again, it puts in the stuff that, so you can sort this by car. So this is all the stuff that you have to sit and write by hand that it has created for you. A thing that we haven't shown yet that I would love to show you is the SQL import. And I think if we go to the Joomla extension directory, we can, or go to virtualmart.net, we can download the old version, or the existing version of VirtualMart, which is 2.5. And what we're going to do is we're going to fish out their little SQL install. Well, it's not so little; it's actually very big. So the SQL install file that's currently inside VirtualMart that creates all the tables and everything for Joomla 2.5. We're going to take that and we're going to import it into the Joomla component creator so that it inside the Joomla component creator creates all the fields and everything. It's just to demonstrate how you can use SQL import to do all of this for you. So instead of sitting and using the interface like we've just been doing, you can get it all done for you if you already have an SQL schema that you've set up. So it's here as a button called Import SQL. We click on that. We are going to choose a file. And in the install, there was a folder called install SQL, I think. And then we're going to take that install SQL. And yeah, you have to extract it. We're going to take the install. It's in desktop maybe. We're going to take this SQL file. It's a big one, so we'll see what happens. We haven't actually tested this for several months, so fingers crossed. It's a very big file with lots of tables and lots of fields, which if you can imagine. But it still seems to be working, so that's great. It just means that we build robust software. So here you'll see, as we start scrolling down now, that to create, we can't scroll down yet because the browser's still thinking. To create Joomla, VirtualMart, which is a gigantic component, you need to create lots of tables and lots of fields. And so obviously it's a huge task to build that. It's still thinking, I can see. I hope we haven't crashed the browser. Basically, this is a confirmation screen that you see where it comes up and allows you to say, okay, so we found all of this in your SQL script. We found all these fields and all these tables, and you have the chance to just quickly change it from a tiny int to a big int if you need to, or change the length of the default. Oh dear. Chrome does not appear to be happy with this. Try and click wait. Oh dear. I think we need to go and find a smaller component we can try and do this with. Well, yeah, maybe with the essential SQL. Let's kill the browser. So we're just going to try with a smaller file. I'm not sure it's going to have any create statements inside it. No. Yeah, sorry, there's a little hiccup here. It's simply, it turns out that VirtueMod is simply too large to import. Can we find another component on the JAD real quick? I don't know if we can open up. Anybody have a component in 1.5, 2.5 they would like us to upgrade to 3.2? We can ask the room.
Yeah, sure. Let us know if you have a component that someone can grab. We have lots of questions showing up. Soren, while we wait for responses, can you perhaps show our attendees today where to follow up with you? We're getting close to our time limit here, and
Sure.
we are going to miss some questions. So.
All right, let's skip the SQL import. Let me just tell you, it's super spectacular, and kind of like the firework at the end of our show. But unfortunately, it got wet overnight or something like that. The firework. So let's skip it and let's go to some questions. The best way to get in touch with us is simply go to the Component Creator website and then use the contact form. You don't have to be logged in. You don't have to register or anything like that. I would recommend to use something else at the bottom if you want to get in touch with us. You click on some of the other things. You'll find some funny answers to some of the. If people want to get in touch with us because they want to, for instance, they want to outsource. They want us to outsource their work to them. Yeah, we get that a lot, so we say no thanks. But anyway, use the contact form on our website or contact us on Twitter. The contact form I would say is by far the best. We will get an email if you fill that out.
All right, great.
So let's just see if there's any questions.
Oh, there are many, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to get to them all, but we'll pick a few here. And Rakesh has posted a question. Hi, can I use conditional fields? I want field 2 to show different values based on values selected on field 1.
No, not by default. You need to create some custom code for that. You'd need to. Yeah, no. The answer is no. You'd need to make some Ajax question and make subfields. So no, that's not possible. Basically, we do what Joomla does, and Joomla doesn't have that functionality, so we don't have that functionality.
Okay, and Shalesh has posted a question. Is it possible to write custom validation at the field level?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Yeah, I think so. Let me just quickly ask my my sidekick here.
One moment, folks. Soren looks as though
we're actually not 100% sure. We think it is, but if it is, it's following the Joomla standard, and it will be documented by Joomla, because we use their filtering system for filtering the each individual field. It's a good question.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have an absolute answer for it.
All right. Let's see. Drahu has posted a question. Is it oriented to UCM new standard? Do you plan to make an option to build for UCM?
I don't know that new standard, so I would probably venture to say no. Again, I would say we do what standard Joomla components do, and what Joomla itself does. So if Joomla does it to a new standard, then we'll follow that, and we do that because we're just replicating the way they say to develop.
Okay, I think there's a question from Fernando, which is more about Joomla usability and extension usability. But Fernando writes, if you modify the component with the newer version, is it necessary to uninstall the old one? How
Yes.
are upgrades? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a good question. Basically, we recommend that you plan out everything as much as possible, and then you make the component as much as you can in the component creator, and then you install it. Then you play around with it. You might realize, oh, I forgot to add a field. Then what you have to do is simply go back, add the field, download it again, and actually uninstall the existing component. If you've made structural changes to the database, you need to uninstall the existing component and then install the new component. If you've only made changes, not structural changes, you've renamed the field or something like that, then it's enough to just install it on top. But if you make changes to the database structure, then you need to uninstall the existing component before you install the new one. And then once you're sure that now you have the base, the scaffold, the base of your component, then you start editing the files.
Okay. And this is a question about your platform, I believe. Leah posted a question. What happens to your component if your subscription expires? So I think she's asking if
That's also a very good question. No, I totally understand the question.
Okay.
Nothing happens. It stays there forever and ever. The only thing you can't do is build it. You can't download the zip version of it. If it is multi-table, if you're using more than one table. If it's one table, it's always free and you can download it as much as you want to.
Okay. And let's see here, other questions. Well, a question from Anne. How is this like or different from Fabric? Are you familiar with Fabric?
Not in detail. I mean, I know Fabric, and there's a couple of other things that tend to simulate the same kind of thing. I can't answer that in detail, so I better not.
Okay.
I know. Well, one thing I can say that, as far as I know, we're the only ones who do it this way. That we build complete, correct model view controller Joomla code, whereas other systems tend to have some code that needs to be installed as well, and it's not pure Joomla, if that makes sense.
Okay, and a question from me too is about the new rapid application development feature in Joomla 3.2. This is brand new, just available. I think it was available on Wednesday of last week.
Yeah.
Have you had a time to play around with it yet? And
we've spoken to the people who've been involved in putting that inside Joomla and who's developed it, and we haven't had time to play around with it ourselves. We understand how it works, so we have had a look at it. We don't build for that standard. We've all the time said we do whatever Joomla does, and right now all the components like web links and banners and stuff like that are inside Joomla are still coded in the old-fashioned way, not using the rapid development extension. So as long as they don't move to using the rapid development extension, we don't believe developers generally are going to do, because all the documentation and everything else in Joomla is still describing how to develop it without the rapid development extension. So we're going to stick with that. We're going to stick with what Joomla is doing, and as long as the core components are not using that, we're not going to build components using that. But as soon as everything moves to that, component creator will also start building components in that form.
all right. Now, a comment from Julian Soren. Julian writes, thanks Soren for a great product. It has taught me a lot about Joomla components and how they should be created. And William also says, wonderful webinar. Thank you very, very much for this great content. And I'd like to thank you too for doing this webinar with us. We had over 300 people register today. As you can imagine, it's impossible to answer everyone's question. And again, please follow up with Soren using the contact form that he showed you. Soren, I'm going to go ahead and steal the presentation back at this point.
Sure.
And so you should all be able to see my screen at this point. This is our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CloudAccess. We actually, if you look up at the top here, we just hit 7,000 subscriptions today. If you subscribe to our channel, you will be able to receive notifications of webinars and tutorials that we release about Joomla and learning Joomla. And also want to just show you our site one more time, CloudAccess.net. Come here, register. You can launch free Joomla instances in the cloud, immediately ready, and they are 3.2. You can also, install your component from that you create at Component Creator. Install it here on your site that you develop with us, and you can get get started with it after you finish the process at Component Creator. I do want to just say, if you go to training and come to our Joomla webinars, we do have a number of upcoming special webinars. After today, on Monday, we have a webinar on JGive, which is a donations and fundraising solution for Joomla. That same week, Wednesday of next week, a week from today, there's a webinar on the JSN Power Admin. We are doing this webinar over with the JSN Power Admin team, and this is improving your Joomla administration experience. And then another webinar from Tech Joomla, Quick 2-Cart, which is another e-commerce solution. So again, just lastly, come to componentcreator.com/en and check out the site, register, start building your own component. Soren, thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you very much for having me. I just want to say thank you a lot to you guys and to Cloud Access as well. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, and a lot of people saying thank you too. And folks, good luck developing your Joomla site. We do hope to see you in a webinar very soon. And take care.